12 Obsidian ships phased into existence inside the Hegemony's defensive perimeter, hulls swallowing the light of the Aara sun. No heat signatures, no engine flares, just a silent, predatory presence where a void had been seconds before. High Orbiter Aara Vance stood on the lead bridge, hand hovering over a single blinking contact. I'm sharing this because the galaxy is changing, and you should see it happen. 6 hours earlier, she had been staring at a dented brass compass on her desk, its needle spinning aimlessly in the spire's artificial gravity. A relic of a lost age, primitive junk she had brought to the most advanced station in the sector. Chancellor Xylus didn't look at the compass. He barely looked at her. His attention was fixed on the holographic readout of a Terran cargo ship. His mandibles twitching in a rhythm his aide, Kale, recognized as suppressed laughter. Kale stood by the refreshment array, noting the way the Chancellor's bioluminescent scales flushed dismissive yellow. The Conclave didn't just close the door on us, Aara said later, her voice flat, dangerous, logged by Kale. They laughed while they locked it. Xylus waved a three-fingered hand, rings catching the light of the triple suns. You use kinetic slugs, Orbiter, chemical fuels to break orbit. Your history is a messy sprawl of tribalism and fire. Come back in 5 centuries once you've evolved past sticks and stones. Kale watched Aara's face. She didn't flinch, didn't beg. She picked up the brass compass, its dull metal stark against the spire's pristine marble, and tucked it into her pocket. She looked at Xylus not with anger, but with the calm focus of a scientist observing a specimen that had failed a simple test. When she turned to leave, Kale caught a glimpse of her eyes, not supplicant eyes, but the eyes of a hunter who had just baited a trap successfully. Xylus's laughter followed her out, wet and rattling, echoing off vaulted ceilings. The Terran delegation was escorted to their clunky shuttle. The galaxy is full of ancient secrets, some better left undisturbed. 3 hours after the shuttle cleared the spire's atmosphere, the sensor arrays screamed. It wasn't the Terrans, it was the Iron Hegemony. Overlord Krill's fleet had bypassed the outer pickets, moving against the Aara systems with brutality the Conclave was wholly unprepared to meet. Kale watched the tactical map turn red. The Chancellor shouted orders no one followed, scales now a frantic, sickly green. The Hegemony ships were massive, armored slabs of malice, tearing through the Aara defense grid like paper. We evolved in the shadows, hunting the hunters, Kale realized. The Conclave had been built for debate, not for the teeth of the Iron Hegemony. The flagship moved into firing position over the capital's primary fusion hub. Kale's datapads recorded the surge, the precursor to a glassing beam. Xylus buried his face in his hands, bioluminescence fading to hopeless gray. Then everything flatlined. Not with a bang, but a ripple. Space around the Aara sun distorted. The Obsidian ships, those brief flickers Kale had glimpsed in high arbiter shadow data, didn't arrive. They simply were. No heat, no friction. The Voidwalker fleet moved with a terrifying, silent grace, making the Hegemony's massive warships look like clumsy beasts of burden. The Iron Hegemony was about to learn that primitive was just another word for unseen. On the main screen, the 12 Obsidian vessels formed a perfect interlocking cage around the invasion force. The Hegemony's primary batteries fired point blank. Beams didn't explode. They ceased to exist, swallowed by hulls that seemed to consume light itself. A single pulse of distorted blue energy silenced the entire fleet. Not destroyed but inert. Reactors, life support, targeting systems all rendered useless. The Terrans hadn't just won a battle. They had rewritten the rules without firing a single kinetic slug. Vance's face appeared on the Conclave's emergency frequency, illuminated by the cold glow of her bridge. We showed them the sticks and stones they expected, she said, gaze fixed on the cowering Chancellor. So they wouldn't look for the lightning behind our backs. The return to the spire was different. No laughter. Aara Vance walked through the high chamber, her boots on marble the only sound. 300 species stood in profound silence. The 500-year probation was never mentioned. The vote for full membership was unanimous before she reached the center. Xylus watched from his high throne, hands trembling, as a battered, dented scout ship, a deliberate piece of theater, docked at the spire's primary ring. He understood now. The galaxy's true masters had been hiding in plain sight, letting the older races squabble while they perfected the art of the void. Aara sat at the mahogany desk in her new office, ignoring digital accolades pouring in across the quadrant. She reached into her pocket and pulled out the old brass compass. The needle no longer spun. It pointed true, a small, primitive anchor in a galaxy finally learning its place. The needle held steady, fixed on a north only the Terrans could see. The compass had found its heading. Are you ready to follow where it leads?